Here to continue the conversation is pastor, speaker, and amazing blogger, Chris Chase. Welcome to 700 Club Canada again, my friend.
You put amazing blogger in there. I am blushing under this beard. I am blushing. Hey, Lori, how are you?
I'm doing really well, and thanks for joining us. And I mean, it is a critical time all over the world, Chris, and there's just been unrest around our nation, certainly in this last month. And here we are, Black History Month, and time, again, like let's continue the conversation, right? As we reflect back over this last year, do you see progress regarding racial harmony in our culture? And if so, can you give us an example?
I do and I don't. And I'll preface it by saying the do part first. If you walk into Indigo chapters, if you will, to go pick up a book, you will see signs and you will see books that promote Black voices, Black authors. But you won't just see that in February. You mentioned before that we're in Black History Month. You'll also see that in April and in May and in September and Christmas time, the voices of Black people, of Afro-Canadian people, of African people, and along with that, our Aboriginal community, our Asian community, you're seeing that kind of permeate culture along the way throughout the year, as opposed to only in certain spaces. When I say we're not is that in 2020 was something I've never seen before in my X amount of years. I'm not going to give away how old I am, but the X amount of years I've been on the planet, right? In terms of a civil rights movement and the raising up of voices in various communities. What ends up happening, however, is over time, we move on to other things. And the conversations go from being prevalent and being all the time to being momentary, to being lapses, to being, we need to talk about this right now. And so what I've seen is something that was so just monumental for many become a part of monuments, a part of conversations. And so it is more important and bigger than it's ever been in terms of how we talk about race. But at the same time, there's also been a blowback. You can't make progress without feeling moving further backwards. And so we see arguments on things like critical race theory or what we teach our kids or how we communicate these things in our churches. We're seeing the backlash to the uprising, the backlash to the movement is the desire to move things backwards and the danger therein. So yes, we've seen progress, but that progress hasn't come without any pushback.
Oh, that's really helpful. I think too. I see what you're seeing, and I think, from maybe my perspective too. It's like when we're uncomfortable with something, we always want to go back.
Yeah.
So there's this tendency, no matter what the issue is, that we want to go back to our comfort. So it is a pushing through the uncomfortable and learning to live differently. But one thing I appreciate about you, Chris, you're helping us learn how to do it. And learning takes practice. We have to have a posture of learning. It's just critical for everyone, especially, I think, those of us who are white. So school us up here, my friend. What do you see are the key learnings? And when I say learnings, I don't mean you've learned it and moved on. I mean, we got to keep learning and we got to keep leaning into. What would they be?
I think the first thing would be to use resources that are in front of you. I mentioned chapters in Indigo and so many books by so many diverse readers, with so many diverse stories. The Black story isn't one story. It is multiple stories. If you sat down with myself and 5 of my friends, all of our experiences as being Black men or Black women, they'd be similar, but they'd be different. And the way we learn is by collecting stories, by hearing different people and not assuming that every story is the same story, that every hurt is the same hurt, that every hurdle is the same hurdle. Collecting those stories, being mindful of our prejudices and actually coming face to face with those and not arguing for your prejudice,
Right.
but instead being willing to push away your prejudice. There are certain things that are ingrained in our minds as to this is what we think is right and anything otherwise is wrong. But coming face to face with that and saying, well, maybe there's something to this. Maybe there's something I need to be learning here. Maybe there's something that I'm seeing wrong that somebody else's perspective can actually help me with. And then doing the work. And that's where the frustration comes in, because we don't want to read more books. We don't want to listen to more podcasts. We already listened to that podcast, or we already listened to that speaker who came and spoke to our church. We don't want to do anything more than that. But the only way we get better at something is by doing it more often, is by doing it and making it a habit to do. The only way we get better at prayer is by praying more. The only way we get better at understanding scripture is by spending time in scripture. The only way we have a better understanding of people of different races or different cultures or different genders is by spending time learning about and asking questions in a safe space and being willing to be corrected when we have it wrong. So there's so many, there's so many other things, but those are things that kind of stand out in my mind in terms of these are practical, easy things that we can be doing on the regular, and not just saving it for a section of time and then moving on to something else, but making it a regular habit. Are we reading books from Black authors and Black theologians and Black thinkers all the time, or only when it's convenient to a space in the calendar? But if we're making it a part of our regular rhythm, then it's harder to take it out of that regular rhythm afterwards.
Well, I think you're right on. And I think that we don't change unless, A, we think we need to change. So you have to become very aware of your biases. It requires humility, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And only from a place of humility will you not come across in a defensive way. And then what I hear you saying is be intentional and lean into relationships. That's the thing that's really helped me, Chris. It's been a real wake-up call for myself, for many of us, to say, I got to lean into the wonderful, diverse relationships that I have and learn from my friends and what their experience and story is. So tell us, how can each one of us then take personal responsibility for the way we view and treat people of other races moving forward? Let's keep moving forward.
Well, do unto others as we want others to do unto us. We've complicated something that's so simple. Even if you and I, we look different, we're of different races, different cultures, I still would want you to treat me with the same respect that you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like, I would want you to treat me the same way that I would treat you. Like, wouldn't want it to be that I treat you differently, you treat me differently. But if I see you as a person who is created by God, who is worthy of respect, then I should do that, and then I should learn as much about Lori as possible, so I can be the best friend to, supporter to, helper to Lori in your life, and vice versa. So the way that we get beyond this stuff is realizing that A, it's there, B, it's real, and C, that we are actually able to work through this by doing the work and by seeing one another as God sees us and as we want other people to see ourselves.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so good. And I just feel like that is such a good reminder, no matter where you live in our nation right now, no matter your personal experience, treat others the way you would want to be treated. Thank you, Chris, for this great reminder. And let's keep on having the conversation. So thanks for being a part of 700 Club Canada, such a great contributor.
Anytime is always a great time. Thank you so much, Lori.
Thank you. Well, for more about Chris, go to 700club.ca.